Hello, Goldma viewers. Welcome back to Goldma Conversations. As usual, we're always discussing interesting topics. Today, there's something that we want to share with you guys. I know we've been talking a lot about how gold is real money, and a lot of people, might not agree with that principle, but it's a fact. And to prove that it's a fact, there's a hot story that occurred in April. That's when it started, that's when it surfaced online. There have been several reports from different sources online that are discussing about how nations are starting to repatriate their gold from the United States. Now that is interesting to me.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Like, why is that happening? First of all, let's talk about Turkey.
All right.
I hear that they had 25 billion worth of gold reserves. And the report that I read actually said they were the 11th in terms of the volume of reserves. They were number 11 in the world. Now that is a significant amount of gold.
Yeah.
And to suddenly say, we want it back, something is happening there. So, any thoughts, guys? Why would countries start recalling their gold reserves?
I think in Turkey's case, it's probably to do with geopolitics. There have been sanctions, trade wars, and things of that between Turkey and the United States. So it makes sense for them to repatriate their gold because it's an awkward arrangement to have your gold, perhaps your most valuable asset or reserve, stored by someone that you're not very good friends with.
Well, I mean, it's very interesting here because there's a story inside of a story inside of a story. You have this pastor, I think it's Andrew Bronson, who's been
held
since 2016.
Yeah.
Okay? But it's 2018. But now there's sanctions.
Yeah.
Now there's sanctions. The guy has been, poor guy, since December 2016.
He's been accused of a failed coup.
Right, being part of it.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that is one of the reasons that is being purported why the sanctions are being placed on the entire country of Turkey. Now, for thinking minds, you start going, it just makes you go, okay.
Yeah.
And I also think, well, this gold is being repatriated. Are they really going to send that gold back? You got my pastor and you want your gold. Sure, here you go. Here's your gold back.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. But like he said, I think this is part of geopolitics, some shadow boxing happening here. And let's see what happens. It's going to be very interesting when the real story comes out about really all the different variables in play. Because we know, based on our last conversation, we talked about Hillary Clinton emails coming out.
Yeah.
And the real reasons behind what happened to Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Gaddafi was, when the rebels came, they had their weapons and all being given to them by NATO.
Yeah.
And now, here we go again. NATO, the United States.
Another story. It's quite interesting. I hear that Donald Trump has actually raised the import tariffs for Turkish steel and aluminium. So he's definitely not taking it lying down. Like, he's definitely, throwing his jabs in there. I'm very interested to see if Turkey will actually get the gold, like what you're saying, if they're able to do that. But here's something else that I found fascinating, because I thought, okay, it's just Turkey, trying to do away with United States hegemony. But Germany and Hungary has done the same before Turkey. So could there be other motivation for other motivations for that other than trying to, fight economic wars with the United States?
Well, I think when you look at the US in general and what's been going on, particularly over the last couple of years, is you have someone who, anytime things don't go his way, well, I'm throwing sanctions on you. Well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And not to use the same word that a lot of people have used on Mr. Trump and say, that he's a bully, but he kind of is. And so you have a lot of countries, I think, wanting to move away from that dominance, from that. I mean, you have the U.S. and the U.S. dollar and the euro controlling like 75%, I think, of the foreign exchange market every year. And there's a lot of people saying, why are we still using the U.S. Dollar? Why are we still basing all international trades on that, even though while some people are trading internationally, they're not even using the US dollar in their own countries.
Yeah.
So it's people wanting to move away from that, people wanting their own autonomy with their own currencies, and I think it's fair.
There's something that you mentioned before we started filming when you were saying the effect that this whole surge of, the repatriation of gold, what it could say to the world, like, oh, you could do that?
Yeah, I mean, if one country can do it, why can't anyone else? Which is why I'd be surprised if the US was to in turn say, oh, okay, go ahead, here's your gold. Because if one country does it, it ends up a domino effect where I might say to myself, okay, I want to do this, but I don't know that I can. Right. But someone else steps out of the box or the circle of trust, whatever you want to call it, and does it. And I say, okay, well, maybe I can do it too. So, you look at that and you think, okay, why would the US want to encourage anyone to do that if there could possibly be that domino effect? Number one. Number two, do they really have those gold reserves to repatriate back to these countries? I don't know that they do.
They might just have them on paper.
On paper, yes, they definitely do. But when was the last time they were audited properly by anyone to say that gold still exists?
I believe there's a menacing Marine standing at the gate of that facility. I don't think you can get in.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Like you were saying, that's the move, that's the play. Yeah. Well, we're not going to pull out any guns. Yeah. And we're not going to make any terrorist threats. We're going to take our gold. We're going to take our marbles and go home.
Yeah. And I think it actually shows that gold is money. And money is the real power that people need to have, Weapons and whatever, you're simply labeled as a terrorist, and it ends.
And everybody loses when you go that route. Yeah. But if I say, give me back what's mine, render unto Caesar. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. If I say that and I'm just gonna pick up my stuff and go home, what can you really do to me?
Yeah.
Hey, I can just quote the locks.
Yeah.
Money, power, respect. and there we are, And so when you think about what is actually the real power and what really is the power play that's globally being played out for everyone to see, because before the internet, we couldn't see these politics.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't see the politics in the Cold War, and couldn't see the politics in World War II. You would get whatever propaganda of the day, not that there isn't still propaganda through news releases and whatnot. However, there's alternate news and people getting access to that. And now people are understanding, because who knows, Germany, like you said, they asked for their gold.
Yeah.
Now Paris gave all the gold back, but did the United States give all the gold back? Yeah. Does anybody know that answer?
No.
I don't know.
There's no reports on it
come
either.
On now. Now, I was trying to find it. I was looking. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know for a fact. But it's very interesting that, that if that doesn't happen, do you really believe Turkey's going to get their gold back? And what if they don't get their gold back?
What
That's
happens
very
then?
tough. Like, how do they squeeze it out of the United States?
Look, we don't have a global authority that can enforce
Yeah,
contracts. Like, there's no world government.
yeah.
And I don't think the Turkish military is up for that fight. 'Cause I don't think anyone has tried to fight America on home soil ever since Japan in World War II. Anyway, we don't want to go there. I don't think that's something we want to do. So, yeah, are we ever going to get to, I think the first question is, do we actually know that there's the gold at Fort Knox? That's the first thing. I don't know, maybe we have to rely on the American people to sort of push that agenda to sort of say, hey, government, we want to know what's inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's be a big question. Who knows? Because I'm of the belief that if the United States starts moving gold around, that's a problem. If the United States don't move gold around, that's a problem. You know why? Because the market has to respond to demands. That's the whole nature of markets. Markets are based upon supply and demand. If there is a demand and it's not supply, the market must respond, right? Either the price goes up or it goes down. And there's some other laws too. I'm sure he can enlighten us more about it. But there's other laws. But that is the fundamental law, supply and demand. And when there's a demand and you don't supply it, that means the price has to accommodate that law. And this is what I mean about how will this impact the normal person? How's it going to, because we could talk about what's going on in it, but still, how's this going to affect my pocket? Y'all know how I talk.
I think that's the part I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Looking at how Turkey prioritized being in possession of their gold. If nations realize, hey, this is the real money, they're showing you that, look, that is paper. That's the real money that America is storing right now. They're not storing their lira over in foreign accounts. It was the gold. So what would make you as an individual doubt that gold is the money and the wealth that you should be investing in? That's the store of value that you should be looking for. And as we've seen, that is the ultimate store of value that nations rely upon. You can literally resuscitate an economy if you have gold. You can reintroduce your currency based on the gold that you actually have. So for all those people that are questioning why we have gold-backed cryptocurrencies and why gold in particular, there's your answer right there. It's fascinating to know that.
It comes right back to what we've always said about the value of gold, and that will never depreciate. Whereas with your currency, you've got a piece of paper. Now the US is being challenged. And like you say, either way, either you produce it, you don't produce it, either way, you're still being challenged. So now you've got to account for said pieces of paper and, be able to account as to whether are they worth anything, is there anything backing them. And at the end of the day, we've always said that I can wake up tomorrow and say the US dollar is worth nothing, and it really is worth nothing if I'm an authority, right? But gold will always be worth something. So at the end of the day, those who have these reserves, either they have their gold or they're owed their gold by the US. But either way, there's got to be some accountability as to, what value is entrusted into the different currencies that we're trading with at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the other thing is, in the conventional, traditional way of economics, backing a currency by gold, you will only get access to the currency that's backed by gold and no rights or any say in the gold itself. But in cryptocurrency, you are a partaker. So that's where the democracy factor comes into play. And I think that's a pretty good thing to have say over your finances, over your wealth, your money, your property, your value. So Yeah, Turkey is really showing people something that, you know what, at the end of the day, gold is the money.
I want to look at, what Turkish citizens actually did at the beginning of this crisis. Well, maybe it's wrong for me to call it a crisis, but
It is.
turbulence.
Right.
The gold market inside Turkey went through the roof because the lira is not performing very well. President Trump put the tariffs that you talked about on Turkish steel. So that means exports are not performing as well as they did because the US was a big market. Right? And then the value of the currency is falling. How do they hedge? That's why we see action on the gold market.
Right.
Yeah.
People are going into gold because it's a consistent store of value, and any time where uncertainty appears, people rush to gold. Now, the world being a global place, very fascinating. Venezuela has whatever problems that it's encountering. I don't know if problems is putting it lightly.
Yeah, very lightly.
Crisis.
2018, Reuters is reporting that Venezuela actually exported $779 million worth of gold to Turkey. Oh. So all of these things are sort of, happening, and everything is so interconnected. So, as the ordinary person, the individual person watching this, I think the takeaway message again is like, there's something special about gold. And, anytime you have that uncertainty, that's the place to go to.
That's so heavy. And that's why, when I think about Goldman and how it's structured and the unique business model of it not only being backed by gold that we're selling, but by the production, the work.
Yeah.
So, and I guess it really takes a moment for me to really explain how important that is. Because if you can invest in the gold, then you have to produce the gold first to back it up. But if you're actually investing in the production of it, now you're somewhat guaranteeing that gold does what? It appears.
You're at the source.
Exactly. You're at the source of actually addressing the issue which all countries are trying to address. How do I produce gold ourselves? Now the everyday person can have access to that part of the value chain where now I'm producing gold that is going to be the gold that's backing up this currency. That is what I say is very unique, because typically when you look at these other currencies, you're giving them money and you're trading your value in your currency, which is a declining currency, for the gold that's just being stored. And again, you're paying storage fees. You're hoping this guy who audits is going to audit it properly, and you're going to hope that if you trade it in, you're going to get some gold back. Maybe they send it to you or whatnot. But I'm saying that not only are you able to store your value, but you're also able to get a return on what you're storing in your own wallet, so you can trade it when you feel like trading it. So that is what's so unique, and I think that's also the one thing that I believe is going to set Goldman apart, where in the future a lot of the security tokens are going to move to an asset-backed security token, because not everybody has access to a gold mine. And a lot of companies, you notice, will be here in Africa making cryptocurrencies based on gold mines. Mark my word, that's what's going to happen.
So before we talked about different cryptocurrencies that claim a one-to-one or not a partial. Basically, you can redeem your coin for gold, and we identified counterparty risk, right?
Yeah.
It just popped in my mind that the Turkish case is the biggest case of counterparty risk.
You see that?
It's like, well, sorry, I don't think you're going to be able to get your gold today.
Yeah, right. My bad, we ain't got it. You know what I mean? Or, you know what, I don't like what you're doing right now. You got my man held up. You don't let him go. And come on, man. Come on. Come on. you know, like when I think about that and how that story is being pushed, it does bother me a bit. Bothers me a bit because in America right now, it was announced that the hurricane in Puerto Rico killed almost 3,000 people. 3,000 people. That's way too many people died. And a lot of those deaths happened because of various issues, but I think a lot of them could have been helped if they had aid earlier.
Yeah.
You know? Now, that's a lot of people. Now, they're pushing around a guy's picture. You know, God bless him. Pastor Bronson. One man in Turkey.
I know.
One man, and they say the whole entire country, we're going to put sanctions on it. We're going to block up everything. One man.
Yeah.
Now, come on now.
But then you look at the fact that the US annexed Puerto Rico, but you don't really consider them, not you, right. But like, let me clarify. But then you don't really consider them US citizens at the end of the day, otherwise you would have given them the aid they needed from jump, versus them struggling the way they are still struggling now. And I mean, how many months has it been? And these people are still starving. These people are still no power, no medicine. Like there's a lot of stuff that they need, and yet they are considered U.S. citizens, and yet they're not afforded that because why? I don't know, goodness knows. But let's pull these resources into getting this one man out. Like you say, God bless him. I'm not saying his life is any less important than anyone else's. However, in the greater scheme of things, how do you look after your people that way?
Yeah. I think it kind of shows that the whole "you have my men of God" releasing right now is probably just a cover-up. That's not really the issue they have with Turkey, because from what I hear, they've been trying to do away with the US dollar for a while, and I think that's what ruffled his feathers, and he was like, "What? What are you gonna do?" And then here came a story, something. They always do that. That's how the United States, their modus operandi, from what I've seen, like there has to be something that justifies an intervention or even military intervention, and it needs to be something that is sellable to the public, and it's always something that applies to someone's emotions, because from what I hear, they are Christian, how do you call people that are reserved? There's a word.
Christian conservatives?
Yes, Christian conservatives. I'm so sorry, I don't know where my brain is today. But they've been pushing for this, and they actually applaud Trump for it because they think he's fighting for their faith, for Christianity.
People are becoming more and more conscious. It's getting all over all over Facebook. I just talked about the locks, money, power, respect.
Yeah.
We're talking about hip hop, how hip hop is now hipping people to get money.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather is talking about his money, hard work, dedication. The more people start thinking about money as a mainstream conversation, other than I'm selling drugs or I'm flipping,
or I'm blinging and this and that.
Right. Once they start thinking about the mechanics of how value is stored, how do you actually get money? Money is gotten by education first.
Yeah.
You got to educate yourself about what is money, where is the money, who has the money, and where can I go get it, and how can I go get it?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to put people up on game.
Yeah.
That gold is I'm giving you prime education right now that they're not giving us in school, because I was never told that.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all. Were y'all taught
I was actually going to go there because I was thinking that kind of education is not mainstream. And when you see those that are coming up with concepts to democratize assets, not many of them are advocating for them. It's more like I'm selling. There's a difference. What we're doing here, like honestly speaking, in as much as we have an ICO that's running, we're also advocating for being sovereign, as an individual, managing your own wealth, knowing where your money is, being able to partake in the decision to transfer it outside the country or not, because basically it means you're in possession of unstoppable money. It's not like fiat currency where if I want to send money out of the country right now, they'll obviously tell me, no, that's externalizing foreign currency. You can't, man, declined. They put the red stamp right there, denied. They can't do that with cryptocurrency. I don't need anyone's approval to do international transactions. And those that are in possession of that knowledge are not sharing it enough. There's a need for more advocacy. We need to evangelize about what money really is, like what you're doing right now, what you're saying, that there are tools in place, but people don't really know about them because those that do are kind of like,
Because a lot of the time when people think of money and they think of wealth, it's I'm going to get mine and I'm going to do what's best for me right now versus something that you've pushed a lot with us, which is, the whole idea of generational wealth and whatnot. Yeah. And I was listening to a podcast, shout out to the brilliant idiots. They were talking about how you can invest into a community that's, poverty stricken and whatnot. And while that's good and everything, if you don't take the time to educate people about finances and about money and whatnot, then all you're really doing is investing, but that investment really isn't going anywhere. So to what you're saying about education, it's so vital, it's so important, because if you are then given money and still don't know what to do with it, that's when people end up bankrupt after having made how many billions of dollars, with their hip hop careers. And it's like, but how did you spend all that money in a year?
They didn't know. And that's the thing that I can tell anybody that's working with me on a manager level or on a level where you're going to see me every day. The first thing before I even have a lot of conversation with you is I'm going to say, read that. You don't get in there. Because I can't talk to you. There's not a lot of conversation I can have with you because...
You did give us a lot of reading. I remember
a lot of listening.
You got to get that information because I know what was given to me. Somebody gave me that. I didn't just wake up with it.
Yeah.
Somebody said, here, Henry, you need to wake up. Let me help you out.
Yeah.
Let me wake you up. Let me give you this pill to get you out the matrix.
And your thing was, in order for me to take you to the next level of understanding, I need you to start here at base level, get this into your system, and then I can take you forward. And that's important, so important.
That's why I'm telling people, we got a documentary, a little short one coming soon that's going to talk about, you're going to hear it coming from Mr. Rubin, that's talking about the basics, the history of money. What is money? And I think that this is going to be an eye-opener. Just something small, nothing too big, something small, but I think it's what's needed for the masses. We need something to tell us about something so vital as money.
Yeah.
Now, some people, they may not feel as though money is vital, and that's their prerogative. That's cool. Y'all stay over there. I'm gonna be over here. And I'm not saying money is everything, but it's right up there with oxygen. And all of that is beneath God, but still, even the church needs a little money.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I think it's
everything
important.
needs money.
Everything needs that money. So it's important that people do their due diligence.
Yeah.
Research about gold. Understand what we're presenting. Goldman is presenting something so special and so unique that I believe is going to transform the entire global monetary system. Yeah. That's all I got to say.
Okay. I really hate for this to end. I think we should do another one because everybody has a lot to share. But we've come to that time, and today I just want to ask if there are any topics that you guys would want us to cover about cryptocurrency. Feel free to mention it in the comment section. We will be doing those topics as per your request. Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to our channel, and bye-bye.